Good day, everyone. I'm your first reporter, Prelme Merengues. So, what is migration? Migration is the movement of people from one place to another. Migration can be within a country or between countries. Migration can be permanent, temporary, or seasonal. Migration happens for a range of reasons. This can be economic, social, political, or even environmental. Push and pull factors drive migration. Migration impacts both of the place left behind or the place where migrants settle. These impacts can be both positive and negative. Some people decided to migrate because they want to improve their career opportunities, while others are forced to migrate due to famine or war. For example, a refugee. A refugee is someone who has left their home and does not have a new one. Often, refugees do not carry or have possessions with them and do not know where they will finally settle. Also, for the animals migrate to find food or more livable conditions. Some animals migrate to breed, and sometimes animals migrate to find a place to hibernate. The push and pull factors that drive migration. Push factors are the reasons why people leave an area. They include lack of services, lack of safety, high crime, crop failure, drought, flooding, poverty, and even war. Pull factors are the reasons why people move to a particular area. They include higher employment, more wealth, better services, good climate, have a safer and less crime area, political stability, more fertile land, and have a lower risk from natural hazards. This is the image of the push and pull factors that drive migration. The next report will be the types of migration to be reported by Neil Dean Maghanoy.
Good morning everyone. I'm going to report about types of migration. So first is economic migration. Economic migration is the movement of people from one country to another to benefit from greater economic opportunities. Economic migrants is kanang like move ang tao, like ilang economic, so ilang place is low ang economic, so no choice sila kay kung low ang economic daghan kayong tao nga jobless, so kailangan, so ang uban na is mamalhin na lang sila atong higher ang economic para na sila'y trabaho. So next is political migrants. Many people are forced to migrate because of war, civil war, state policies which discriminate against particular groups of citizens or people who oppose those in power. So for example is na against sila nga politics. So katong politics kay against man tong tao, iya to ipapahawa with kay naa siya power, like taas-taas kayang ranggo. So next is environmental migrants. Environmental migrants are people who are forced to migrate from or flee their home region due to sudden or long-term changes to their local environment which adversely affects their well-being or livelihood. So ang environmental, like for example, nagiguhan sila dayon kanang ilabit ang ilang mga tanom, like kanang mga palayan is nangaguba, then tungod ana is kanang murag na bitaw matamnan, like baha na kayo siya, hindi na siya matamnan, so mamalin na lang sila og lugar nga matamnan na sila matamnan lang para sa ilang for their survival. So next is family reunion. This form of migration refers to members of a family coming to join one of their relatives who is resident in another country. For example, iyang mama kay naa sa USA, then iyang bana, iyang anak is nasa Philippines. So dito man siya gusto magpuyo na sa USA, so iyan na lang tong padton to yung family dito sa USA para mag-usa na sila, din dito na din sila magpuyo. So next is immigration. Immigration is relocation of process of people leaving one country to reside in another. So kani siya is kanang moving, for example is from Philippines, then move na lang din siya to Korea or asa pa na siya nga country asa siya gusto madto. The next is immigration, process through which individuals become permanent residents or citizens of another country. So kani siya is a process where kung dito ka sukad dito kanang process na dito na jud ka magpuyo, like for example ako kailangan na 'di ba ang process sa USA is kung para mahimo kang citizen is kailangan na kay maminyo dito or kanang naakay papeles nga mag dito na kagpuyo. So akong kaila is nagminyo na siya, nagminyo siya taga dito, so dito citizen na siya dito. Then next is internal migration. Internal migration is the movement of people between usual residences within national states. So kani siya internal is diri ra siya sa sulod, like for example sa tong country Philippines, like gikan siya og Mindanao, so ni-move siya to Manila kay dito daghan taas mo pud ang economic dito. Then next is external migration. External migration, it is the moving in a different state, country or continent. So kani siya is like kanang opposite siya sa internal. External is kanang mugawas siya og country, like for example is like domestic helper, di mo siya ingon niya nag-migrate kay mo siya gapuy pero katrabaho man siya pero pareha na siya tapos mat siya. The next is population transfer. It is when a government push or forces a large group of people out of a country or region. So kaning population transfer is like example, ilang country is overpopulated na. So ilang government or ilang politician is ilang ipamove ang uban tawo, like mo pa ni siya ang laing term aning population transfer is forced migration, kay gina-force man ang tao nga pabalhin kay lagi overpopulated na. So next is impelled migration. Impelled migration is a group of people or an individual leaves a country or region because of unfavorable situation due to political, religious, social factors. So, for example, ani is like, example, Muslim country. Then, moto ka as a Catholic dito, moto ka dito din. Pahawaon kanila kay, murag dili mo pareha og religion. Mukha na siya. Unfavorable religions. The next is step migration. It is a progressive step-by-step migration from a shorter distance to a rather farther destination in the end. For example is kanang nag-domestic helper ka, di ba? Kaya napamanay process step-by-step man. Like example, from Iligan ka nang apply, dayon sa Manila ka magkuhag papeles o nilarga ka from Iligan to Manila, then para moadto nakagawas kailangan sa kamoadto sa lain country nga airport para dito ka mo sa kayog airplane padulong na din sa imong destination nga lugar nga imong trabahoan. The next is intercontinental. It is the movement of people between continents. So movement from between continents, so gikan ka og Philippines madto kag Korea, then Korea gikan kag Korea madto kag Japan, then Japan madto kag China ana. Sige, next intracontinental. It is a movement of people between countries on a given continent. So kani is given na yung continent, so hindi na siya pwede like unlike aning intercontinental, given na yung continents. Next is interregional. It is a movement of people within countries. It is domestic in nature, that is migration from rural to urban and vice versa. So for example is like gikan kag bukid di madto kag city, like gikan kag city madto kag bukid of vice versa. The next is seasonal migration. This is usually due to climate or planting reason. People in the past moved from one place to another for the purpose of crop planting and harvesting. At present, people move from one place to other because of climate. For example, gikan siya og like winter, nag-winter sila ading gusto man siya kanang bitang kay wala man sila kuan, gusto ra siya iyang season niya gusto is kanang rain or shine ra. Sumoto siya og Philippines kay gusto man siya mananom nga rain or shine ra ang climate. So next is return migration. So return migration is some people return to the country or place of origin after outliving the reason for which they left in the first place. So like example ni nakalarga nakagawas tapos na nakaditong mga how many months tapos giminga mga kasi mga family or na homesick bitaw ka na so muli ka like that dayon next done.
Good day everyone, my name is Rena Rose Monfiel and today we will tackle about the importance of global migration. What is global migration? The term global migration means that the movement of people from one nation state to another nation state or from one continent to another continent or from one place or another. Migration is important for the transfer of manpower and skills, and it provides the needed knowledge and innovation for global growth. In order to address the issues raised by global migration, it is necessary to improve international coordination. The economic effects of migration vary widely. Sending countries may experience both gains and losses in the short term but may stand to gain over the longer term. For receiving countries, temporary worker programs help to address skills shortages but may decrease domestic wages and add to public welfare burden. Here are some reasons for global migration: escaping hardships, conflict, and persecution, seeking a better life, displacement because of environmental factors, family reunification, employment, studies, following culture of migration, economic reasons like remittances, because it is facilitated, and the just because or why not factors.
Hi everyone, I am Ana P. Manggubat and I am going to discuss to you the impacts of global migration. So in the previous discussions, global migration was defined and discussed by my group mates. So obviously there are impacts on this, the positive and negative impacts to the origin and destination location, especially to the migrants. So first, let us talk about the positive impact on the destination location. So to the destination location, first one, workers who will work for low wages and are prepared to do jobs that local people do not want to. So those people who want to work abroad or who want to work to the other countries and migrate, even though their past location gives low wages, if they migrate and work in another country, they will receive a much better wages. So the next one is the increased cultural diversity. So obviously, the more people in a country, the more culture and traditions can be adapted. The next one is skills gaps are filled. So those people who wants to migrate and their skills that they develop from their place can be passed to the people or can be passed to the place they want to migrate or they want to migrate. So the next one is boost the local economy. So obviously, the more people and the more employers that want to apply in a certain country, Local economy must be boosted and developed much more. The next one is government tax revenues increases. So more employees, more tax, more money to the government. The next one is public services can benefit from of qualified staff, example doctors, nurses. The last one is immigrant groups can increase birth rates. So those immigrants people can have more offsprings. The next topic is the negative effect on the destination location. So first one is the pressure on public services such as schools, housing, and healthcare. So if you are new to a place, if you just get there, then pressure will always be there, especially if you don't get used to some crowded places, to the public services if you needed something. So next one is the overcrowding. Overcrowding, so the one that I discussed a while ago, there is always a connection with overcrowding because more people, right? So overcrowding, it might be difficult to some people, especially to those who don't like crowded places. So next one is language and cultural barriers can exist. So even though cultural diversity may appear in the positive, obviously there is a language and cultural barrier because yeah, you're from another country, then you you migrate and you still have to adjust, and some people would discriminate and won't approach you because of that certain thing, especially to those racist people, right? So next one is increased levels of pollution. So for example that is Manila. So obviously it is overpopulated place, and more people, especially those rich people, obviously they would buy some cars, those transportations, and the more you purchase those things that consumes and expose some carbohydrates, some carbon, I apologize for that, some carbon that could cause pollution to our surroundings. The next one is the increased pressure on natural resources. So the more there is the need and the things we need and the things we want. So some resources can be lessened because more people were going to purchase, especially those necessity that we humans usually purchase. The next one is the racial tensions and discrimination. So just like the language and cultural barriers, these two things can be connected, especially those people who are naturally born in there to the place you're going to migrate. Some people do discriminate and their racism would appear, and that's kind of annoying and wrong. The next one is local people can miss out on jobs due to increased competition from migrants. So yeah, some people from those people who are naturally born in that country would miss some opportunity to apply those jobs they want because there are much more people who are qualified for that job that are not citizen in that certain country. So the next one is the migrant groups may not assimilate into local communities. So they would sometimes stay in their own houses and won't cooperate to some social gathering. The next one is the gender imbalance. Usually more men migrate. So yeah, if there is gender imbalance, then the population can be controlled, either overpopulation or some countries that needed some people who would stay to be a citizen of their country. So the next topic is the positive and negative impact to the origin location. So origin location is where we originally live, right? So let us talk about the positive impact to the origin location. So first one is the unemployment can reduce as there is less competitions for jobs. So there will be a lesser number of population in the country, in your origin country, then it is much or a better news for those people who wants to apply and having a hard time applying, because employment can increase to those people who are not fortunate to apply in those times that many people are residing to a certain country or location. So next is the less pressure on natural resources, including food and water. So food and water is the most important thing for us human beings. So if there is less population, or there are more or less to the residing people in a certain location, then there won't be a difficulty on distributing human some resources, especially to food and water. So next one is when migrants return, they bring new skills and knowledge. So just like to the previous topic, which was discussed, the positive impact to the destination location, which is the skill gaps are filled. So when someone came from another place and moved to another place, then more skills, more knowledge can be gained to those people who are residing in that certain location. So next one, or the last one of the positive impact to the origin location, is that money is often sent back to family and friends, known as the remittances, boosting the local economy. So even though there are less people who are residing in a certain location, then the more they have opportunity to have a work, and the more they have less expenses for their necessities or necessary needs, then they have the more chances to send back money to their relatives or to those people who they want to help or they want to send some money. So the next one is the negative impact on the destination location. I mean the origin location, sorry. So the first one is there are fewer people to pay tax, so it could increase. So if there are less people and less employment, or less people who are working in a certain location, then tax will be lessened. And those tax, we know that those tax and the money that people pay, it will be spent for the economic development, right, for the country or certain to the location you are living. So the next one is fewer skilled migrants, as those with skills and education tend to be the people who migrate. This also known as brain drain. So unfortunately, those people who are much more talented or more skilled in some field of work, they are the one who usually migrates to have a bigger opportunity or a bigger future in another country. So there will be less people who are skilled and employed in our country or the origin location. So next one is brain drain could have a negative impact on economic development. Yeah, economic development. It was mentioned that those who are more skilled would usually migrate, and it won't be it will be a shame for us to lose some talented people who would represent or who would work for us for the people in the origin location. So next one is families separated by borders. So because of migration, some families would be would build some walls or connections because of that. The last one is there are often gender imbalances as it is because men are the one who usually migrates. So it was discussed by the negative impact also to the destination location. So the last topic, which is the impacts of migration on migrants, so to the people. The first one is the positive impact. So the opportunity to get a better job. So obviously, most people migrates because they want to have a better job. They want to have a better future, right? So the next one is improved quality of life. More and big work, more wages, more salary can have and be a chance for you to have a better life. And the next one is the safety from conflict. So obviously some would migrate because they are threatened to their origin location. Some countries or some areas are dangerous for people to reside. It's like those countries that usually have wars, which is not a good thing. They would migrate to have a safety life and avoid conflict. The last one is the opportunity for a better education. So even though some countries offer a good education, some people would not be satisfied because of their educational system. So they would migrate and have a better education in the foreign country. It's because some country offer have a more technology that could make them enhance their skills and talents. That's why. So the last topic is the negative impact on the migrants. So first, migrants may run out of money because some people would migrate without planning anything or planning first. They are more excited to migrate and change their location, so they would run out of budget, run out of money. The next one is issues communicating due language barriers. So if you are new to a certain place and you are not used to communicating some people, then you would have a hard time communicating to them. So you have to adjust from the very first thing, which is the language. The next one is issues securing accommodation or housing on arrival. Since there will be more people who will migrate to that country or to that location, then you will have a difficulties to ensure your accommodation or your house that you want to reside or you want to live. The next one is the illness due to not being able to access health care. Since you are new to that location, then you'll be having a hard time on connecting, or you will be having a hard time to have an access to some healthcare since you are new to that location. You have before you going to migrate, then you have to prepare some papers from the very start, your citizenship, then your medical records, then you would assign some doctors first, some advisors that could help you before you're going or you're finally migrating to that place. And the last one is migrants may experience racism. So for example of that, since I usually watch movie, in some foreign countries, there are many racists to Chinese and Asians, and that's how they some migrants would suffer because of racism. So that is all for my discussion, which is the impact of global migration.